She wants some hands. Ooh. Mm, I just want to come on here and really just give God all the glory and all the honor that is due unto his name. I'm just sitting here, just got back home and just got done feeding Nia, and I'm just scrolling through YouTube and just, listening to videos because I'm just up. Just sitting here burping her. So I'm like, while I'm burping her, I'm just gonna scroll through and just listen to some videos. So I was listening to Pretty V and this rapper from Detroit. She did an interview on there with him. I listened to a little bit of it and scrolled down, I think like one video down, and Darius, I think his name is Darius Daniels. He is a preacher based out of, I think, Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But anyway, I was just listening to his testimony about his mother. And as he was going through all of the details and everything, his testimony is very similar to mine. And the things that I've been going through with my mother. She just had LVAD surgery, which is a very major surgery. It's life-threatening. It's a very risky surgery. It's essentially open heart surgery. And he was going through the testimony, and he was just saying how, he is, his father positionally is the head of the family or whatever, positionally, but physically he's the head because, he's physically taking care of his parents, going out and doing all the things, right? And that is somewhat my testimony. I have an older brother. My mom, she's no longer married, so she doesn't have, a physical head of her home, right? And essentially I make all of the, or most of the medical decisions for her, or, I consult her or whatever, and we just come up with something together, whatever is in her best interest, right? So typically everything, or most things, pretty much fall on me. And he was saying that, his mom wanted to see him. She was in town that Saturday, and his mom wanted to see him. He kept putting it off because, he had all these conferences and just all these things that he had to do. And so he just kept putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. And so he said by the time that he finally sat down and, was just relaxing with his family and all of that, his wife came into the kitchen and said that his mom was in the hospital. They were getting ready to intubate her, and they needed to get to the hospital now. So he said they got over to the hospital and she was intubated, and he said all the medical markers, everything was just getting worse. Nothing was getting better. So I'm sure she was just in a very unstable place. And he said that, he was anticipating grief. He was anticipating her death because nothing seemed to get better. And so he said that he had already wrote the outline of her eulogy. And so, they were talking to his dad, and they thought that his dad was in denial about his wife getting ready to, leave from up out of here because nothing was getting better. And so he said that, he would have had to grieve first. Darius Daniels, which is the son, he would have had to grieve first because he has to lead in so many other ways. So he was basically preparing for her death, preparing to grieve, preparing for the loss of his mother. He had to prepare himself for that because he couldn't just stay there. He would have probably had to hurry up and grieve, get it over with, because he had so many other things that he had to deal with, right? And I say that because his testimony, it seems like he took the testimony right out of my mouth. I have experienced that probably over the last, I'd probably say 2 or 3 months, when we found out that my mom had to have the surgery and everything just happened so quick. She's had congestive heart failure for a long time now, but her health was declining and we really didn't know. And so when she got the surgery, if I'm being quite honest, I was preparing for her to die. By the time we got to the hospital, her heart rate was, I believe, at like 10%. And we had to make the decision very quick for her to get this surgery. It wasn't go home, think about it, come back. It was more so you have maybe a few hours to the next day to make up your mind if you want to get the surgery or not. If not, they gave her a prognosis of 6 months to live. And so I knew that if my mom were to die, I would have to, and it may sound silly, it may not make sense to you, but I would have to hurry up and grieve because I have so many other responsibilities. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I have a brother that's a minor. And so I just have so many people that depend on me, so many people that I have to take care of. And so I'm saying all of that to say this. I just want to give all the honor and glory to Jesus Christ. I know, I'm not going to say I don't believe, but I know that I have not honored him enough for the miracle that he performed for my mother. I think that life has been moving so fast. She's home now. She's recovering well, you know, and like he was saying, he didn't know if it was a short-term miracle or a long-term miracle, but God gave him his mother back. God gave his dad his wife back. And I just want to thank God for giving me my mother back, for giving me more time with her. I guess I'm just reflecting on his testimony, and I just don't realize that was a miracle that God performed for my mom. He could have took her soul on the operating table. He could have took her soul on the way down to the hospital to get the surgery. Thank you, Lord Jesus. But he let grace and mercy rain down upon her and gave her a second chance at life. And that truly, it built my faith. I've been very exhausted for the past few weeks, few months. Because when you have a loved one or a family member or whatever that you love so deeply, and you see them go through these things, and while she was going through this, I realized that it was nothing that I can do. If he was going to take her, he was going to take her, and it was nothing that I could do. I'm so used to making all the decisions for her, most of the decisions for her, just being there for her, kind of just being there, her every need. But as she was going through this, it was nothing that I could do. All I could do was say amen to whatever God's will was for her. If it was to take her, it was nothing that I could do. It was nothing that I could do. So I really just want to Give him all the glory, all the honor, and all the praise that is due him. Like right now, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to her downstairs. She's able to walk and she's talking. They cut her from here to like up under her breastbone. She was only in ICU not even a week. And then she went to the step down unit. And she was only in the step down unit for maybe a week. And so I just want to really thank him for keeping her. Because he didn't have to. He didn't have to. And you just never know when your time is, when your loved one's time is, especially when you're so used to being there for them, and then you see them in a medical situation and it's nothing that you can do but sit back and pray and watch. And I watched the hand of God move on my mother. I watched the hand of God move on her life, because this time it was serious. It's been serious from the jump, but this time she's had surgeries. You know, my mom has been through a lot, but this was open heart surgery, and I was prepared for the worst. But he kept her. He kept her. And I just wanted to get on here and just share that and thank him for the miracle that he performed in her life, even in my anticipation of death. He has given me and gave me strength. It feels like I'm running on fumes, but every day it feels like I'm getting stronger and stronger and stronger and wiser because of the experiences that he's placing in my life. I've been praying for more faith. That tested my faith. That was very, very hard. It was very, very hard for me to say, God, I trust you through this. Because when you go in the room and you see all those tubes and all those medications on the IV pole and just sedation and unconsciousness, chest tubes, when you see all of that, it's very hard to think the best. It's very hard to say, God, I trust you. It's very hard to say you're going to pull through when you see those things with the naked eye. It was very hard for me to trust him. I don't even know if I had faith or not in that moment. I don't believe that I did. My body was in shock. All I could do is say, God, if you take her, help me to get through it. That's all that I could say. I couldn't even say, God, I know you're going to pull her through. I couldn't even say it. I just had to accept whatever was going to happen, because everything was out of my hands. Everything was out of my control. I couldn't run to her and say, Mommy, I can call, or I can make this appointment, or here, let me give you your medicine. I couldn't do anything. I had to leave the life of my mother in God's hands, number one, and in the hands of medical professionals. It was nothing that I could do but just stand on the bedside and pray. That's all that I could do. And I just thank God for hearing my prayers and the prayers of the saints and all of my brothers and sisters, and my church family and all the mothers. It's been tough, and we got a long way to go, but my mom is still here, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful. I'm thankful. And I just have to ask the Lord to forgive me for not thanking him enough, because I have not thanked him enough. Because when she got home, we hit the ground running. It was supplies, home health was coming, nurses were coming, people were calling, just trying to get her adjusted. And I really haven't had time to sit and tell him thank you. Yeah, so that's my tidbit for today. Love on your people, love on your family if they're still here, because anything can happen in the blink of an eye.